Hello, and welcome back to Authentically Shawna. I'm your host, Dr. Shawna Burke. I'm so excited to have Brianna Rose with me today, who is a somatic healing coach and is the founder of the Light Leader movement.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today and to just be hanging out with you.
Agreed. I asked you here because I know you know a lot about the world of energetics and how energetics flow and how they work. And I feel like I have yet to come upon a really great resource that talks about the basic definitions of some of these words that I think get used a lot on the internet. And I don't think there's anything wrong with using these words. I just don't think people have a good appreciation and understanding for these words. And so at a certain point, it starts to sound really like hocus pocus and woo-woo when there's really so much science and so much information about it. It's just people don't understand it. So it becomes a turnoff before people understand that they're probably doing a lot of this already without even appreciating or understanding what that is.
Totally. I agree.
So that's why we're here. We're here to change that. So I have a very basic question, which is, what is energy?
Okay. So for me, right, we can all define this in so many different ways. For me, when I think about energy, I feel like it is like our life force. It's what's keeping us alive. Like we have, of course, our organs and we have our nervous system, but there is something other than that that's moving through us that gives us our personality. It's our soul. It's how we move through life. It's how we have these different archetypes of who we are, what our purposes, what our passions are, our personalities, and so on. So for me, there's like this innate energy that we all carry within us, but then energy is in everything. And what's really cool is this isn't some woo-woo thing. Scientists have proved that there are other dimensions. There are other sorts of energy. We know this from like electricity, but there's energy in every single thing. There's actually like energy meters that you can buy and like go up to things and see the wattage and see the frequency that's emitting from your stove, from a tree, from the couch, from your phone. So this is, as much as it sounds like woo-woo, it's actually a very real thing. There's energy around us at all times. And the thing is, we can acclimate to the energies that are around us to match our inner energy that we're carrying within us.
So if someone has never felt their energy,
Yeah.
what's a simple way that you help people to first experience their and tap into their own energy?
Yeah. So I pretty much I love to work with entrepreneurs. They're kind of my sweet spot. So I'm going to give more of like a businessy reference. But for me, I love working with energy as it relates to business and energy as it relates to the nervous system. And so for a lot of people, why I got into this, I will just say, is because I was a corporate PR and marketing director in New York, was a hustling girl boss, left that life, became a brand consultant. And what I noticed was I would do these like ad campaigns for people or build out these marketing campaigns for people. And they'd be all like gun-ho, so excited. Their energy was like, this is it. This is the thing. And then they wouldn't implement it because they second guessed themselves, because they felt like an imposter. All this, we know this. We know these stories really well, that imposter syndrome, that negative thinking and those limiting beliefs. And so to me, energy can come out in different ways. It can come out in your belief system. It can come out in how your body is responding. So they would be saying to me, like I went to do it. I went to go live on Instagram, but my stomach was killing me. And like all of a sudden I got super nervous, or I felt the heart palpitations. And to me, that's energy being expressed in the body. And so I was like, all right, I've got to learn about this. I've got to figure this out, because these things, these heart palpitations, this anxiety that someone's feeling, this nervousness, this imposter syndrome, it's blocking them from becoming who they're meant to be. And so for the last decade or so, I've been studying the relationship between the nervous system, our energy system, our emotional system, and then cross-referencing that to business strategy. And so when we think about, if we've never experienced energy, I'm going to challenge you. You have. If you've ever felt anxious, if you've ever felt excited, if you've ever felt in love, what's really cool is they can actually find the frequency of the energy of love, and they can measure it, and they can also measure depression, and they can measure sadness. Every emotion, every human emotion that we've had in our lives, it's all energy, and it's just being expressed in different ways and different frequencies. And like I shared, we can now actually quantify this and say, love is 1,000 hertz or whatever it is, and sadness is 500, and we can actually look at these emotions and see the vibration of them, the frequency of them. So for anyone that feels like they haven't felt energy, you have. And for anyone that feels like, I don't know what she's talking about, or I haven't experienced that, this still feels a little woo-woo. If you've ever thought about someone and then they calls, that's also energy, right? That's intuition. That's energy. You're feeling their energy. If you've ever said to yourself, you know what? I wish I had a front row parking spot, and all someone opened up, that's also energy. You're feeling energy. You're trusting your intuition, and so on.
I love that. Thank you. That
You're
makes it
welcome.
so clear that everyone has felt this. This is not a unique experience. People who are in a healing space, everyone has felt
Yes.
energy. It's just you probably didn't think it was that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I want to ask you, because I want to go back and say you had talked about blocks. So let's talk about energy blocks and what
Yep.
that means.
Totally. So in an ideal world, we would all be happy, healthy, getting perfect amounts of sleep, multi-millionaire, billionaire, right? Like all that. But most of us carry blocks that prevent us from moving forward in our life. And sometimes these blocks, and this is cool, science can prove this, is our blocks can be passed down to us ancestrally. It could be in the form of epigenetics. We've also recognized and realized when we are in the womb of our mother, what she was going through, she's also passing on to us. So this is also like science has taken a huge quantum leap right now where they're actually able to study this and say what she was going through, now you're going through and you have experience. And these things can be passed down through our lineage. That's one way we can trap these limiting beliefs, but also like it could be something so simple as when you were in nursery school and like a little kid called you dumb and said you were stupid or whatever. And then we create a story of like, I'm dumb, I'm stupid. Or we have a sibling that outshines us. And then we start to realize like, oh, I'm not as good as them. Who am I to do this? And what have you. And so we honestly are always creating these stories. And when we create these stories or experience these things, our nervous system and our subconscious mind is soaking it all up and it's taking note of it. And I had a mentor once and he was like, we take out the garbage, but we never take out the garbage of like our mind and our body. And we forget to do that because we actually haven't been taught to do that here in the Western world. And so every single experience in our life, good or bad, our body's remembering, our nervous system is remembering, our mind is remembering, and it's creating literally a neural pathway. It's creating a new program in our nervous system. It's creating a memory, as you know, in our fascia, in our muscular system, and then we hold on to it. And so that thing that happened to you when you were like 2 or 3 years old, it created some sort of indentation in your nervous system, in your mind, in your body, in your fascia, created muscle memory. Now, you didn't know to fix that. You didn't know to heal that. So now you're playing that story. It's in your subconscious, and now you're 45. So now this thing's been going on for 42 years. It's like you've been lifting this small weight for 42 years. And think about that density that it's holding in your body because you've been holding it for 42 years. It's like you've been pumping iron, the same one for 42 years. And so that's why people have this density to their limiting beliefs. That's why they see the world a certain way. We all know those people that are kind of like Eeyore, where they're doom and gloom, and it's because they just got shut down. Their nervous system got shut down. People didn't teach them how to heal, how to self-regulate, how to reprogram themselves. And they get caught up in that. And then we have other people that know this stuff and they're like the happiest people ever. And you're like, oh my God, how is this person so happy? And it's because either they were dealt a different set of cards or they're like me and Shawna and they know what to do. They know how to meditate. They know how to heal. They know how to get help.
And I will say, I think when you're first starting this, it's really helpful to have someone else be able to help you point out what the energy blocks are.
Oh,
I would say it's so difficult, and I still have a hard time with this, of identifying what that block is. Like I know something isn't quite right, but I sometimes have a really hard time identifying what the not right is.
Mhm.
And so I think it's like, I want to also mention, like sometimes you need someone on the outside who can help you identify and put together your somatic experience, because you can feel something and then not know what to do with that information.
For sure. And I also just feel like because we haven't been taught this, we have always been taught, I should say, that there's like a guru outside of us, whether like that guru is like a teacher or a parent, and we haven't been taught to trust ourselves. So there's this natural disassociation that occurs between us and our bodies. So we can't even see it because we haven't even been taught how to be here and create safety in ourselves. And so that's why having a mentor or hiring someone to support you is, I feel, so crucial, but also that self-reflective work and taking it easy on yourself. And maybe you don't know exactly what that block is, but you could say, hey, there's this thing that I've been wanting to do, wanting to achieve for 20 years, 10 years, 1 month, whatever it might be. I haven't done it yet. Why? Like, what is stopping me? And a lot of times it's like, it's time, or, I ran out of time, or I second guess myself. Well, those are blocks. time is a block, being insecure in yourself is a block, right? So we can take it, we can be this like energy archaeologist with ourselves and say, okay, what's the thing I want to do and why haven't I achieved it? Okay, here I have some things of why I haven't achieved it. Okay, what were the emotions behind those things of why I haven't achieved it? Okay, those emotions of why I haven't achieved it, when I think about emotion, I close my eyes down, I breathe, where do I feel it in my body? Okay, now I'm feeling it in my body and I feel this emotion. Whose voice am I hearing along with that? What situation is popping up when I hear that? Okay, right. And so we kind of just start to take it further and further and further and further and further. And that's going to give you some answers. And then from there, then we can do the somatic stuff and reprogram.
I love that. That's such I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not easy, but it's definable, right?
Yes.
Okay. I identify it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figure out where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Who I think is saying that to me,
Yeah.
whether it's someone outside of me, whether it's me, because a lot of
Yes.
times I find that it's me saying
Yes.
these mean things to myself.
Yeah.
And then where is that? And
Yeah.
how do I identify where that is in my body? And I do think a lot of people are in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That's emotional pain, and they think it's something different.
Yeah. Or we've been taught to normalize it. We've been taught like stress is normal. And we were kind of talking about this even when we hit record. It's like stress is normal. Hormonal imbalance is normal. Like all these things. It's like, it's normal. You're getting older. Like, no, it's not. Like we should be happy. We should be healthy. Why aren't we? I think that should be the bigger question is like, well, why aren't we? That's actually not normal. Our normal birthright is to be happy and healthy, and our bodies are so wise. They know how to heal. So why aren't they healing? And being brave enough to ask yourself those questions and really look at yourself and get the support you need.
Snap.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. So something that I'm quoting you, so I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
Something that you wrote is living energy first. And so talk about what that means and how do you do that?
Yeah. Great question. So for me, and kind of what I shared earlier of like this like natural bodily disassociation that we all have, for a large part of my life, I realized I was living my life because I thought it was something that I needed to do, right? It's like I went to school for this major because I thought that that was normal. That's what I should do. And I had to graduate and get the big girl job and all these things. And I'm so happy that I did that because I can see how like that was my purpose. That was my path. I'm not saying I want to change anything, but I did realize I was living a life that was more in my head than in my heart because I was making decisions based on what I thought other people wanted for me, what society, what was normal for me. And now I'm in the energy of energy first. And what that means is me trusting myself and saying, does that even feel right? Like, do I even want to do these things? And again, going back to almost that method we were talking about is like, when I feel like I have to do something, I'm like, well, who's telling me I have to do it? Do I even want to do this? And having that opportunity to take that pause, take that breath and say, what do I really want to do? If there were no rules and if I trusted myself, what would I actually be doing? And that's how I landed here in doing the work that I'm doing. I had to constantly ask myself and also be brave enough to say, do I even want to do this anymore? And I've had to do that continually being an entrepreneur. I've had so many pivots because we grow. We're evolutionary. I don't think we're meant to do the same thing for 50 years. Like, I just don't think so. We're meant to grow. We're meant to expand. We're meant to change. We're going to learn. We're going to see life differently. And we have to be brave enough to allow ourselves to really look at that and say, heart first. We can even take the energy out of the equation, like heart first. What does my heart actually want me to do? And I look back at these like crazy big decisions I made in my life that to other people, they thought that it wasn't normal. And it's made me the most happiest I've ever been. Like, I'm so happy I made those decisions. I can't even imagine my life if I didn't make those decisions. But we have to have those brave conversations with ourselves. We have to hold that mirror up and say, how did I get here? Why am I here? And do I even like this any longer? Like, is this even what I want to do? And I've done that so many times in my life, but even within my business. Recently, I closed down a big part of my business because I was like, I've changed. Like, this isn't even who I am anymore. Yeah, I need to do something different that's more fulfilling for me because I do believe in past lives and we have multiple lives and whatnot. But like our life, this lifetime is incredibly short.
Yes.
And we don't know when it's going to be gone. And so we might as well be happy when we're doing it. And if we're leading with our heart, doors open, we're living in joy, we're living in happiness, going back to that frequency, we're going to vibrate higher. And when we vibrate higher, again, this has been proven by science, and we literally vibrate higher, we are magnets and we attract in other higher level opportunities and doors open for us.
Which sounds a lot like manifesting.
Yes,
so
totally.
Let's connect those two because I think manifesting, a lot of times if people are seeing things, they're like, then I manifested this and it just, which is totally fine. But I think there's something so much deeper.
There's a depth to it.
There's a depth to it that I think it's really lost in for modern society.
Well, I think it goes back to, I feel like, Shawna, maybe you can remember this. Remember in the 90s, there was like the infomercials and it was like, take this pill and drop 50 pounds overnight. Like, it's like this weird gimmicky thing. And it's like infiltrated its way into spirituality where it's like, do this one meditation, you'll become a millionaire tomorrow. Or like, you're going to manifest $100,000 in 30 seconds when you do this meditation practice. And it's like, I'm not knocking it. Like, if you can do that, like, wow,
Power to you.
power to you. Like, I will bow to that. That's amazing. But the reality is, like, there is such a depth to this work that I feel like our Western world has like stripped down and tried to market and put these like smoke and mirrors into it, which has turned off so many people because they see it and they're like, because we can feel energy, right? So you see when that person's out of integrity and they're not authentic, when they're like, hey, try this meditation, you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow. You're like, you're like that bullshit meter within you is like, no, that's not going to happen. And so for me, manifestation, it can be easy, but it's easy because it's like the iceberg. You don't see the depth that it's coming from. I feel like for me, I've been doing this work for 10, 15 years. And so, yeah, sometimes manifesting, I can manifest some cool stuff at this point because I've been working on it for so long and building that muscle. And so for me, when I think about manifesting, it's actually active. We're not sitting there and staring at a vision board and being like, okay, universe, here's my vision board, make it happen. No, we have to be brave enough to take action on those things that are on our vision board. We have to ask the boss for the raise. We have to tell the partner that we need to break up or have those like serious conversations. We have to go out there and start our business. We have to check in with the doctor or get the second opinion or whatever it might be. We have to take that action. I believe in aligned action with our manifestations. Yes, we have to think about what it is that we want and what it is that we desire. Then we've got to show the fuck up for it. And we have to open that door or walk through the door that the universe is opening for us. I think there's so many people, and even myself included, because I'm not perfect, but we ask for a sign, right? We're like, oh, just give me a sign. And we get the sign. And then we're like, wait, no, a signier sign, right? Give me something even bigger, better. And we're not walking through the door that the universe is opening up for us. And so some people, like I work with entrepreneurs. One woman, she had been like manifesting, being able to leave her 9 to 5, go all in on her business. A couple months later, 9 to 5 closed up and fired her, and because they were going out of business, and she was distraught. And I was like, well, that's the universe pulling the rug out from underneath you because now you've got to go all in on your business and do it. And now 2 months later, she has a successful, thriving business because she manifested. That's what she wanted, right? So we can see these reroutes from the universe as gifts, as opportunities, as manifestation. But to go back to kind of like manifestation 101, everything has a frequency to it. As we kind of open up this conversation, everything has a living energy to it, which is really cool. And there's different frequencies. So when we think about the frequency of sadness, it's going to be way lower than the frequency of love and happiness. And so when we think about the things that we want and desire in our life, for example, I work with entrepreneurs. So a lot of times there's like the sacred 6 figures that they want to make or the $1 million business. When we think about the frequency of like 6 figures versus $20, like of course there's going to be a significant frequency shift. And so what I work with a lot of people first is their energy, because they have to be able to attract that thing in. And so if they're walking around with a lot of limiting beliefs, if they're sad, if they're anxious, if they're grieving, if they're depressed, if they're any other emotion that we actually don't want to feel, that's actually lowering their frequency. And so I say to people, it's not that you're low vibe, but your body is storing these emotions and it's lowering like your actual vibration. So you're going out into the world vibrating at this frequency that can't attract in the 6-figure business or the 6-figure client or the 7-figure business because like you're literally not an energetic match for it. So we've got to do that first, the energy piece first, before you take action, before you show up, before you launch your business. And this is just a very specific example of entrepreneurs, but this is within every area. Like if you're looking for your soulmate, guess what? If you have low self-worth, if you don't think you're worthy of love, if you, we have all these stories, is that going to call on your dream person that's like, that loves you, that sees the worth in you, that wants to, whisk you off your feet? Probably not. And so we have to work through our energy system, which essentially is our nervous system. This can sound very frou-frou, but it's your energy system. It's your body and the way that it stores emotions. Like this isn't frou-frou stuff. This is science that we have been able to actually track and test. I've worked with mentors that have literally had electrodes plugged onto them because they were studying what the meditation was actually doing to their body, to their mind, to their energy, to their nervous system. So this is real stuff, you guys. And so the more that we can rework our bodies, the more that we can rework our nervous system, and we can remove that fear, that anxiety, that's low self-worth, once it's gone, then we can vibrate up. Then we can be in that frequency of the thing that we want and desire. Then we can manifest.
I love that. I think that's such the nuance that is missed.
Yes.
Is there's a pre-step or sometimes multiple pre-steps
Yes.
before the manifestation. I think that's the part that gets really glazed over is the work that you do on yourself first.
Totally. And something that I say to my clients, I'll say, how are you sending mixed signals out to the universe? Because you might be manifesting this thing. So again, I work with entrepreneurs. So it's like they're manifesting the 6-figure business, but guess what? They were too afraid to show up on Instagram for a month, or they never launched or shared their work with anyone. So I'm like, how are you going to attract in that 6 figures if you're not showing up online? Or you're saying, I want to explode or go viral, and you only made one post in the last 10 days, right? And so it's like these things that we do that goes back to our energy and our nervous system and being able to follow through on our ideas, they've got to match up with the thing that we are manifesting. We can't just sit there and hope something just lands in our lap. We've got to follow through on what we're trying to manifest. Otherwise, we're canceling it out, right? The fear, the anxiety, it's pushing that thing even farther away from us.
Yeah, it's a separation.
It's a separation,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about somatics.
Yeah,
that is your world. So let's define somatics.
Sure. Do you want me to define?
Yeah.
Okay,
please.
cool. So for me, soma is the Greek word for the body. And so for me, when I think about somatics, it's just understanding how the body is speaking to us. The body has a language all on its own that we haven't been taught how to listen. We've been taught how to think. We've been taught how to trust other people outside of us. But our body has been this like silent witness to our whole life the entire time. And if we do want to get like a little spiritual at this, the body is the home to the soul. And so for me, when we learn how to listen to the body and how it speaks, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, but when we learn to listen to what it's saying, we're actually listening to the voice of the soul. We're actually able to connect with this part of ourselves that is so pure, so wise, and holds an intelligence that we probably can't even like mentally comprehend, right? And so when we think about that, the body's always speaking, but it's not through words like our mind. The body, the ego doesn't live in the body. The ego lives in the mind. So when the body's speaking, it's pure, it's intentional. And the body speaks through emotions. It speaks through discomfort. It speaks through cravings. It even speaks through rashes that break out on your skin. And it's telling you something. My background is I have studied Chinese medicine and I have related Chinese medicine to the emotions in the body. And so for me, when I'm working with a client, oftentimes they're telling me like what the business block is or what they're going through. So like, I'm not hitting X income, or I'm afraid to be seen. And I'm like, okay, if you're afraid to be seen, typically that relates to a specific part of the body, which is the wood meridian actually in Chinese medicine, which governs our visibility. That's the liver and gallbladder channel in the body. There's a specific way that the body is responding to that. Oftentimes people that have liver and gallbladder and wood and visibility blocks, they also have some eyesight issues. They also have some tendencies towards anger. They tend to have some pain in their hips. They tend to have these other types of issues, and it's all connected, right? And so when we recognize that, we could say, okay, the body's storing something here. We don't actually need to know like what it is that it's storing, but we just know that it's storing something in a specific location of the body. And then I use some sort of movement, whether that's meditation, breath work, or postures to target that area of the body, kind of like self-acupuncture, to target that area of the body and start to reprogram the fascia, the muscle memory, the nervous system. So that way that person, their body can actually release whatever it is that's being stored there, and they can move forward and become visible, for just using that analogy.
That's amazing. And when you create something for someone, what does that look like? Is people do independently? Is it something they do in groups? Like, what does that look like for you? And how do you think that's best expressed?
Yeah, great question. So I started, like I think all of us, I started doing this one-on-one with people. And this was in 2017. I was like, I'm just going to test this theory out that I've been studying of like the body and business connection. And back then this was still very new. So I felt like even nervous to share it. But I'm like, I think there's something here with like the nervous system and the body and somatics and the business strategy. But I was a little nervous to like, get out on the rooftop. So I'm like, let me just try this one-on-one with people. And my clients were like, quantum leaps. Like they were just seeing rapid success in their business. They were like things that they couldn't do 2 months ago. Now that they were thriving and succeeding. And I was like, oh shit, I think I'm onto something here. And so then I opened it up, and within 2 weeks, my entire one-on-one roster was booked from word of mouth. Then within 6 months, I was booked and had a wait list for 6 months. And I was like, okay, well, I'm impact driven. It's great to make the money with this, but I want to be able to help more people. So since 2018, I've been doing group work because I want to be able to reach more people because there's only one of me and only so many hours in the day. So I have group programs where I work with people and I take the most common business blocks to grow and scale your business. I turn it into online course and curriculum and blend in the somatics and the strategy with it. And then that worked out so well that back in 2020, my clients were like, you need to certify us in this because this stuff is really working and we want to learn how to use it with our students and our clients. So since 2020, we created one of the first body-based somatic certification that now is internationally recognized and accredited, and we certify coaches all over the world.
Huge congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. I wanted to ask, what do you think the difference is between doing this work alone and doing it in a group?
So good question. I think there's a natural part of us that might want to do this alone at first because it feels safe. And I totally get that as like an introvert and a Scorpio. I'm like, yes, no one can see my ickiness. Like, let's do it out. No. But what I found actually is from doing this, I've worked with thousands of clients at this point, and I've done it in small group settings, large group settings, and then one-on-one. I've also done retreats and things of that nature. And I see the thing that really moves people's needle when it comes to their healing is group. And that might sound weird at first, but I really feel like it's because they don't feel so alone. And I feel like when you are trying to heal, you feel like you're so alone. You feel like no one gets you. You feel like, who am I to do this? You also sometimes need that cheerleading system to be like, you've got this, keep going. And so sisterhood, I primarily work with women, has been like the bedrock and foundation of every single thing that we create and launch because we know that's going to help our students just thrive. And then you have a united experience with all these other people. And it's kind of like in school and you have those moments with people that you're like, I will never forget that. I will never forget those people. It creates an impression for you. And that's what happens. And then like the bonus on this is they get so tight knit, they end up co-authoring books together, co-leading retreats, like doing all this really cool stuff. And then if nothing else, they have like their best friends. Like you have no many times how many people are like, met my soul sister, I met my best friend. I didn't know people in my life that really got this stuff. I felt like the black sheep of the family or whatever it might be. And these people are meeting up all over the world and connecting. So long story short, I think there's such power in group because we recognize that we're not so different after all.
I love that. And I have heard, without sounding super woo-woo, that we're like in the age of Aquarius. And
Yes, we could talk about that.
A lot of shifting is going from one-on-one work to group energy. And so I think there's also important to recognize that that's also a universal theme that's probably playing out for a lot of us as well, is how do we tap into this big shift in collective energy of not just focusing on one person, not that there's anything wrong with that, but how do we impact as many people as we can?
Yeah, agreed. I feel like that's why I'll always keep that business part. And we were talking about this even before we hit record, is because so many practitioners and healers and wellness people, they're used to the brick and mortar model of like, you come in, I do a treatment on you, and then I go to the next person. And really, I feel like their soul is like slowly dying because most people get into those professions because they just want to help people heal.
Yep.
And they want to help people heal. And that's what makes them get up every single day. And when you feel like you're just kind of trucking along, only one person here, or if you're doing insurance stuff, you've got like 10 or 15 minutes with that person, you've got to switch to the next one, which is really tough and kind of life sucking. When we can actually bring our work online, become global, reach people across the world, which is so cool, and do it in a way where people can still receive that intimate support, be surrounded in a group setting. I mean, it's amazing. It just changes the game.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I think that's another nuance that I think sometimes gets lost in translation is the difference between individual and group, because I think both are fantastic. And I think so much more could probably be in group and in circle. And I think probably our ancestors did a lot in group and circle because you needed community. You needed to have other people.
As humans, we're not meant to be on our own.
Right.
I mean, look back, like you said, at our ancestry, we were not by ourselves. We were in circles. We were living with our family members. And I mean, totally different life that it's not us to do that.
So I appreciate that we're talking about how to bring that back into the world, because I think that's going to be a really big theme upcoming. Stay tuned.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. I know you also talk about kundalini. So I want to ask you, what is kundalini? Because I think when people hear that word, they think of people in white, and it seems kind of out there. And I think it's almost like even too taboo for people who I know who do yoga. It's this like taboo word that everyone's like,
Yes. It feels like Voldemort.
Yeah.
It's like, say it out loud. Yeah, well, I love Kundalini. And I feel like, part of my role here is to not rebrand it, but teach people what Kundalini actually is. And I feel like it's gotten a bad rap here in the West, and it's been misconstrued, misinterpreted. And I also think that there's just a lot within that community of what's happened over the last couple of years and even decades. And so Kundalini was kind of my entryway actually into energy work. I was a PR marketing business girl, had a spiritual awakening, and then Kundalini popped in my life. And when I showed up, everyone was dressed in white with the turbans on. And I was like, what the fuck did I do? Is this a cult? What am I doing here? But I couldn't deny the shifts that I felt in the class. And I walked out and I was like, whoa, that was a gnarly 90 minutes, but I'm feeling good. I've never felt anything like this before. And so I got curious. And so I started, this was probably about 12 or 13 years ago now, I started to just study Kundalini, because when I would sit with it, it freaked me out, right? It had a very cult-like mentality. But there was also this intuitive part of me that was like, you know what, lean in here and start asking questions and start doing your own discernment on what this is. And I think that's so important, that whenever we are learning something, don't just trust what someone's saying. Do your own research, try it out in your own bodies. And that's what I started to do. And I started to realize that the way Kundalini was being taught, there's nothing wrong with it, but the way that I was experiencing it was just not the right version for me. And there's a lot lost in what Kundalini is. So Kundalini, for those that don't know what it is, Kundalini is actually not a form of yoga and meditation. And a lot of people don't know that. Kundalini is an energy that lives within every single one of us. Science has proven this. Is an energy that lives near the base of our spine. And this energy has been determined to be actually a light frequency that lives in our body. And so it's nestled at the base of our spine. Kundalini actually means coiled line. So it's normally represented in esoteric Indian texts as a snake, because it's a coiled energy that's kind of nestled there. And it's through intentional movement, mantra, and just essentially pressure that you put on that area of the spine, we can make this energy rise. And so you might be thinking, why would I want this energy to rise? It's because when this energy starts to rise, since it's a light frequency, the science of it is it's shooting up through your central spinal column and it descends down through your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the largest nerve in your body. So it's you are lighting up your nervous system. You're lighting up your body, literally, because it's a light frequency. So it's you put on the Christmas lights on inside your body, but it's turning on your body and your nervous system. And as it does that, as the energy is coursing through your body, it's also hitting all of those limiting beliefs and stories that the body's been holding on to. And when it hits that, it's like a stop sign, and it's going to lovingly force you to heal that thing that's in its way. And so I feel like that's why Kundalini gets this bad rap, is because it's forcing healing that you would have. And I don't want to say forcing, it's really not forcing, but it's bringing to your awareness healing that maybe it would take you a decade to do. You're going to do it in a weekend, right? And it's just kind of bringing all of these things up for you to process and heal. Now, the esoteric side of it is this is a feminine energy. It's believed that this is the same energy that's created everything in the universe. And that's why it's within us. Really cool. And so when you work with it, it's this creating feminine energy. She descends down through your body, making you feel whole and aligned with your most highest prosperous version of yourself. And when she ends her experience, she rises up through the crown, lands up at the top of your head, because that is where the divine masculine, Shiva, lives. And so this is about her finding her counterpart and coming together, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, Shiva and Shakti. So that's the energy of Kundalini. And the way we awaken it can be through yoga postures, mantra, breath work, movement, even running or walking can start to awaken this energy too.
Let's talk about what that feels like.
Yeah.
In your body, how do you experience that?
So again, I feel like Kundalini gets a bad rap because there's different ways to practice this. I come from the energy of let's do this and work with the body instead of against it, because the body has an intelligence on its own and knows how to move and knows how to self-heal. There's other ways to practice it that's more forceful. And so I've never experienced this. I've been practicing this for 13 years, but there are people that have had these psychotic experiences with it. I haven't had that, so I can't speak truth to that. But if many of you are probably going to Google Kundalini after this, if you see that, don't be scared. That's happened for people. I can say I've worked with thousands of people. I've never seen that happen. But most of the time, it's just a warming sensation that you might feel running up through your body. For me, it feels like love. It's like you're getting a hug, because you're coming back home to yourself. You're getting your body into proper position to heal. I had a mentor once, and the way he described it was, our modern day bodies were not meant to do what we're doing with them, like sitting all damn day long, being on our phones, eating the crap that we've been eating. And it's, no fault to anyone. I do it. I mean, we literally have banana bread in front of us right now, right?
And we're not mad about it.
These are clogged with these. And then we have Wi-Fi and all this stuff that our ancestors didn't deal with. And they were moving way more than we are right now. And so his theory and thought and the way he taught us was, we're in this like sedentary type of body. We need to shake it up a little bit and we need to move it because we have to remind the body how to heal. We have to get into proper positioning. There's these things called the bandhas, which are body locks to get the spine into proper position, which you might love with the work you're doing, to get the body into a proper position so that way kundalini can rise and the energy can actually begin to heal and the body can begin to heal itself. So people have these different sensations, but it's ultimately you coming into a place of just alignment, of harmony with yourself, of joy with yourself. Some people feel resistance in their body because just like any workout, an energy workout is a workout. So you might feel some resistance in your body. You might feel, I was speaking to a friend today who's having a kundalini experience and she's like, my hip was killing me. And then I remembered like a memory that was related to my hip. And that was, just one scenario. And these things happen all the time because the body remembers. It's a sponge. It's been processing all of this. So it's good, but also there might be some resistance. And also a lot of times to have that energy to rise, we have to hold these postures for an extended period of time because you can't just do a 10-second breath and be like, oh, I'm healed, right? To go back to that manifestation thing of like, we snapped our fingers and we became billionaires, right? We have to do these different sets of postures and alignments with our body and hold them for an extended period of time to essentially open up the meridian system, open up the energy channel so the body can heal.
I think there is a lot to be said too of like fake it till you make it.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a lot of that to be said in this too. It's like, I might not feel something right away, but I'm going to keep doing a practice until something shifts.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that. It's like, I think we throw things away really easily because it didn't
instantly,
which would be so rad if everything instantly worked. I co-sign on that, but I think a lot of it is the intention behind it. I think the point of practicing is to practice.
Yes. Yeah. It's to practice for sure. Well, we have to install a new muscle memory and that doesn't happen overnight, And for me, I love fake it till you make it, but my new one has been embody it until you become it. And so it's like, it's just acting as if until you become that thing that we want and desire. I don't feel like doing my practice every single morning. Like I'm human, right? Like I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it because I know who I want to become. And I know that version of me that I'm trying to become, she needs to be doing this stuff that I'm doing right now. Right.
Yeah, you're laying the groundwork for the next layer.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen by not doing anything.
No.
I wish it did.
I mean, maybe one day we'll get there. Maybe one day.
But then I think it wouldn't be worth it, right?
Well, that's it too. I'm like, we need not to fight for it, but we've got to show up and build that muscle and have, there's also been studies done on success. And I even know this to be true. Once we hit our goal, we're actually not happy any longer. We like the process of getting to hit our goal. Like we don't actually ever want to be number one. We're in the pursuit of trying to become number one. And that's the game. And that's what we're addicted to.
Which is great. Like I think we all sign up for that.
Yes, totally. Agree.
Okay. Another word I know that you use a lot is the word dharma.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what that is.
Okay. I think the easiest way to describe it is like your soul's purpose. And your soul's purpose is more than a title that you are getting at work. It's, who you are as a human, what you feel like you are here to do. And sometimes that is your 9 to 5 that you have, but a lot of times it's not. It's being a parent. It's being a good partner. It's creating something for someone to help them. It doesn't have to be marketing director or nurse or what have you. It's something deeper than that. Something that it's just who we are. We're not even trying to be it. It's just who we are. It's innate. Yeah.
And what do you think prohibits or blocks us from knowing what that is?
I think because if you look at cultures outside of specifically the US, I can really only speak about the US because that's where I was born and raised, but there is this process that children go through where elders and ancestors look at the children and they see like what their natural likings are and then they foster that. And I feel like we miss that a little bit here in the US where we're like, wait, no, you're supposed to become a doctor. Like they make a lot of money. Go become an attorney. Go do this. Go do something that, and that might be your purpose and that might be your dharma. But for a lot of people, I feel like those things that we were naturally good at and enjoyed We could only do that up to a certain age, and then we had to get serious.
Mm.
Then we had to be real. And like some people, you look at like amazing musicians and their parents did foster that. I'm not knocking parents that don't foster, but we just don't even know to do these things. We want the best for our children. So we're like, go to school, get a job, become this, do that. But that person, they might have something else that they really want to do. And how beautiful. Imagine if we nurtured that and we got to see what they created from something that they really enjoyed. And we see this all the time when people have midlife crises. They're going back to the things they loved when they were 10, 17, 15, these things that brought them joy. Why are we doing that? Because that's our dharma. That's what brought us joy. That's what we missed out on. That's a part of us we had to ignore to be accepted, to be successful.
So let's connect a couple things. Let's connect dharma and then living energy first, and how those two things are correlated.
I think they're the same thing. I think when I'm dropping in, I'm saying, what do you really want to do? It's like, how do I want to express myself today? What is the expression of my dharma, of my purpose? What am I really being called to do? And sometimes it scares me. Sometimes I'm like, oh, wait, are we sure I want to be a public speaker? Are we sure that's the thing I want to do? Yes, it is. It's these things, they might actually scare us, but we also know that they're true. And I think there's a deep connection, if not they're the same thing, of dharma and energy first. Good catch. Love it.
Okay. We've used this word several times, so I want to define it. What is intuition?
Oh, there's so many ways we could describe this. Intuition to me is the voice within ourselves that we often ignore.
Yeah.
It's that whisper that tells you to do something, but then we try to rationalize it. It's that part of us that guides us to something that ends up being our most happiest aligned version of ourselves. But most of the time, it takes us a while to get there. Intuition is the voice of the soul. It's the part of us that we can't even begin to understand or comprehend, but it's that part of us that gives us life. When we are full of life, full of joy, that's the intuition, because we've been listening to it.
I want to ask you a deeper question. How do you know when you hit an energy block and it involves your intuition?
Oh yeah, this is the biggest thing that I help a lot of people with. Is it ego or is it intuition? Is it my truth that I shouldn't be doing this thing, or is it my fear, my ego that's blocking me? And for me, it goes back to that process of like, first of all, we just got to breathe, right? We've got to regulate ourselves. We've got to breathe. We've got to drop in. And oftentimes the voice of the ego or the voice of the fear is fear-based. It's scarcity-based. It's living so much in the future. It's future tripping. Like, what if all these things go wrong? What if this happens? And the soul, the intuition, is more compassionate, more loving, more from a curiosity lens of like, I wonder about this, or maybe you should try this, versus your world, your life is going to crumble. Don't make that decision, right? We all have those moments. That's something you can do. But also for me, it's a bodily sensation. A quick exercise you could do is think about something that really scares you, that like freaks you out, that gives you a lot of anxiety or fear, and notice how that feels in your body. And then like take a cleansing breath, and then think about something that really excites you and notice how that feels in your body. And so we want to start to feel into those two differences. So then when we have to make a decision, or if something pops up and we're like, is this my ego or is this my intuition? Now we can check into those sensations of our body and say, was that really my fear, or was that something that I was meant to go for based on how the body's responding?
Where do you feel that in your body?
I feel like for people, it can be totally different. So don't feel like you have to be like me.
No.
But for me, when I am feeling like anxiety and it's not something that's for me, I tend to get like not butterflies, but like where you would feel butterflies in your stomach, and it feels like stress, like just like pure, like my stomach is like closing in on itself. And then when something is exciting and something that I'm meant to do, there's like a fluttering in my chest. Like there's a fine line, I think, sometimes between excitement and fear, right? But there's more of like an openness to it of like, this is a little scary, but I'm so excited. And it feels like the fluttering of butterfly wings in my chest and my heart because I'm excited about it. And that's for me. And that could be different for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Whitney Cummings, who's a comedian, always says like, says something about like, if you meet someone romantically and you feel it in your stomach, like you have a lot of butterflies, like check in with that, because that person might not be your person. Like that could be a lot of fear that you're thinking is something else. So I love this exercise of doing this check-in of like, okay, what does fear feel like? What does anxiety feel like versus what does purpose feel like? What is intuition? What does trust feel like? Because I think we often conflate the two. And so because no one has told us.
No one
feel different.
Yeah, like, they don't. We haven't been taught how to define it. I feel like our body has a dictionary that we have to just learn to understand what it's trying to tell us and what all these feelings are, because we can easily get confused on what it's trying to tell us.
And then that I think like ties that back into like, is that like bringing you towards your life purpose, or is that bringing you farther away because you are now doing something that isn't aligned, but you felt quote unquote right in the moment? And so how do you, I guess, maybe be efficient with your feelings? But like, can I identify what's going on? That way, when something comes up, I can identify this is the direction that I feel is where I want to be going.
Totally. And just trusting it, right? Make the decision and then just go after it. Can't fuck it up, even if you tried. Like, that's what I tell everyone. I'm like, we can't mess this up. Like, if you go through something that was a quote bad decision, you're going to learn something. Right. You're never going to do it again. Right. You're going to get a lesson from it. Big deal. Yeah. So you're meant to learn that lesson. Can we trust that? Can we trust that you didn't actually make a bad decision? You feel like you did, but you learned something from it, and how amazing you learned that.
I have goosebumps for that, because I think that's so different from how we're told is you did something wrong and now you can't trust yourself because you made that decision. I think there's so much of that goes around. And whether that's like from you or from like your parents, a lot of times I think, which I'm sure they didn't even realize that they put that in there. But it's like you thought that you wanted something and then you changed your mind, but you're not allowed to change your mind because you were supposed to be on this path. And I think I think those things all become this cycle.
Yeah.
And
it's all about coming back home to ourselves, learning how to trust, having our own like return to us. When we do that, like I said, we can't mess it up. We're never actually messing it up. We're supposed, like, there are things that like, technically, did I mess up? Sure. But I look back on it, I'm like, thank God I did, because look at what I learned from that. Like, such a beautiful experience that I actually got to go through that. And now I know that, and I won't make that mistake again, or it prepared me for the next thing that's coming. It's always working out, eat for our highest good, no matter what it is. And it's hard to grasp that, but
when you're in it,
when you're in it. But most people, when you talk to them, when they come out of something, they're like, I'm happy I learned that. It sucked. And also, I'm happy I got that lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there something how we can connect this idea of a vision? And I think something that gets said a lot, I would say, like in female spaces, is like, you're the visionary, you have a vision. And I think if I asked someone who wasn't in this space, they'd be like, that sounds really woo-woo. Like, you're a visionary. Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah, totally.
And so let's talk about what is a vision and how does that connect with our dharma, and what does a vision mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I want to like just share, I think we all are visionaries no matter what our gender is. I think as humans, we just are. When we think about what as humans, like our species has done and what we've created, how could we not say we're not visionaries? Like, it's incredible to see not that long ago what we were doing and like where we are today. It's freaking fascinating what we've accomplished and created. So we all are visionaries, no matter.
Have plumbing, we have cars, we can go into space.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, agree.
It's amazing.
Agree.
So I feel that we all are visionaries. And I think as humans, we all are actually artists too. That's really what that means. Like, we're here to create. We're here to innovate. We're here, we see something and it's working, but we know we can do it better. Like, that's our species. That's what's ingrained in us, is how do I find this thing and fix this thing and make it better? I think that's more of a grounded approach instead of like, I am a channel and I'm the goddess. And we are, but like, you know, it's just innate for us to create, to innovate. And I feel like for women, I mean, we create life. So it's kind of natural for us to, yes, birth things, create things, think about things, maybe more than men or someone that's more masculine, but because it's just our bodies, we're like, that's what we do. We are cyclical beings. We create human beings. We create life. We're going to create visions too and be tapped in. But I feel like we all have the opportunity to do that. Maybe it comes more naturally for women, but we all have the ability to create and innovate in our own unique way.
And what do you think that looks like? Like, when you get a vision for something, what does that look like for you?
Well, I'm like, how deep do we go? I feel that we all have a unique way that our intuition speaks to us. And so for me, I'm a very visual person. So when I get the vision, I'm seeing it. Some people don't see it and they will just get like, they just know what they're meant to do. Some people will see a color, right? Like, there's so many different ways. For me, I get the full blown picture. Like, I'm in the experience of the thing that I'm meant to do. That's how it shows up for me. And it's always kind of been that way. And doesn't mean that it has to be like that for you, for anyone else that's listening. We just have our own ways that our intuition speaks to us.
And has that changed as you've done more work? Like, has that shifted at all in the course of your like 15-year journey?
So what's funny is like yes and no. Originally, we didn't dive into this, so we don't need to go so deep into this. But originally, when I had my spiritual awakening, a lot of spiritual gifts opened up, and I thought my purpose was to be a medium. And so I spent 4 years studying mediumship, channeling, all the things. I was doing it. And I just realized like, this isn't for me. Like I love it and I respect people that do that, but I knew it wasn't my thing. And so while I was in that process, I was like wide open, like seeing energy, feeling energy, getting intuitive messages, the whole shebang. And I remember one of my mentors at the time, she was like, it's not always going to be like this for you. And I was like, what? No. She's like, there's going to be a period where it shuts off. And I was like, no, that can't happen. She's like, you're going to have to enter the real world. Like, this is like, you're not going to be as connected. And I would say it never shut off. But as my business expanded, as I shared with you how it expanded, we had this major amounts of growth. Like, I just couldn't be that tapped in because I had to deal with very real life things like trademarking and attorney and taxes and hiring. And like, you have to be here and anchored and rooted here. And I feel like it grounded me, and I am opening back up, and now I'm finding a balance between that. So it's been an ebb and flow, and I think that's life too. Life is cyclical. Once we contract, we're getting ready for an expansion, and once we expand, we got to know the contraction's coming soon too.
Yes, which is sometimes difficult to.
Yes, podcast episode part 2.
Yeah. It's difficult when you know that's coming. It's like, oh, okay, hold on for dear life.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything in this realm that we're talking about that I haven't asked about or that you wanted to add to this conversation?
I mean, something that I like to just share is, when we have these types of conversations, they are so real. They are so authentic. You feel like you're in it with us, and you guys are all in this with us. But because we are so tapped in, oftentimes the viewers or the listeners, they're going to get ideas. They're going to get those intuitive nudges. And that might be coming in the form of like a book that you should read, or maybe like working with Shawna or working with me, or doing whatever it is. You're just going to get some intuitive nudge. I lovingly encourage and challenge you to follow through on it, because there's a reason why whatever it is that you're thinking about over the course of this conversation, it's coming to you for a reason. That thought might be a new thought, might be something you've been thinking about, that you should do. But like, this is like me saying, here's the door, walk through it, make that commitment to yourself, and just see what happens.
Oh, I think that's such a great place to end. Please, speaking of working with you, please tell people how they can connect with you, where they can find you.
Yes. Well, I love hanging out on Instagram. I am Brianna Rose. Brianna has 2 N's. Love hanging out there. Slide into my DMs. Say hello. Would love to hear from you. And then as I shared, I have 2 programs right now. One is to support you with building your business through somatics in the body and the nervous system. And then I also have our certification program as well. So if you want to learn about this and get certified in it, we'd love to have you. Those are my 2 intimate programs that I host where I'm in there live with you all. And then I also have a monthly membership. If you want to just learn more about somatics, it's a little bit more low touch, more focused on sisterhood, but that's a great way to just get your foot in the door and learning all about the body and healing and transformation.
And I will put those in the show notes. So so that way, if you want to, it's a really easy click. You just say, there we go. Okay, this is my entryway into this world.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Authentically Shawna with Dr. Shawna Burke. The information contained in this podcast is provided for information purposes only and is not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any techniques referred in this podcast, consult your healthcare provider. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. We will see you next week.